The following letter was hand-delivered to Short Brothers on the 24th of September 2025. Short Brothers Homes, Dura Park, Yspitty Rd, Bynea, Llanelli. Reference: the Human Rights Act 1998, also the destruction of, not building of a community, the criminal Councillor Simon Knoyle, Short Brothers, accessory to murder. Dear Short Brothers Homes Limited, please find enclosed a memory stick containing a video recording on 23rd of September 2025 at the Heol-y-Glyn landfill site of the conversation between our company representative and your site representatives, one who refused to be identified, and a person called Lee seen at the end. During the conversation, your representatives were informed that residents living around the site have a right to life as defined in the 1998 Human Rights Act. It is our opinion that your company have been given permission to perpetuate the corporate manslaughter of residents living around the site. It should be noted that the criminal offence, corporate manslaughter, is a violent act, and the residents surrounding the site have a right to self-defence against this crime. It should be noted that the excuse "we are undertaking lawful activity," as suggested by your representative Lee, has no meaning if your lawful activity is causing the death of residents. It should be noted that we have made reports to the police for the unlawful killing of residents surrounding the site, of misconduct in public office against the council leader Stephen Carl Hunt for covering up the perpetual corporate manslaughter of residents around the site. As far as we are concerned, these investigations are ongoing, and that the previous developers, Cuddy Group Limited and Enzo Homes, have committed these crimes as reported. That if you should follow on, and as such your breaking of the ground and exposing poisons may cause deaths. Because we are informing you up front, your breaking of the ground we will consider an act of attempted murder. A large amount of information, including our police reports, have been made public and can be found on our YouTube channel and website www.walkaroundwales.com. Your representative was informed by our representative, amongst other things, that he had made a detailed investigation of the history of the site and that the land was initially a council ash tip dating back to 1937. Following the major disturbances of the land on the site, deaths have occurred in clusters around the site, most recently following the disturbance made by Enzo Homes. That the council refused to identify your land as a historic landfill site. That the council, including Simon Knoyle, have covered up a cluster of neurodegenerative deaths, progressive supranuclear palsy surrounding the site. That a member of the planning committee at Neath Patolba Council, Chris Williams, Plaid Cymru, whose wife died unnaturally living next to the site, failed to declare an interest in the planning approval despite being informed of potential health issues that may have been related to her death prior to the planning meeting. Your representative Lee was informed that Simon Knoyle is a criminal. By this, we mean he has undertaken criminal actions that may lead to the death of residents he is elected to represent. This includes the refusal to provide evidence that contamination protocol has been followed by Neath Patolba Council, the refusal to make contamination information public, and the failure to follow protocol and provide relevant historical information to the Planning Committee. Overview. The Neath Patolba Council Head of Planning, Kerry Morris, is part of a group of Neath Patolba Council public officials who are murdering residents living around the Heol-y-Glyn landfill site. They are deliberately covering up information about poisons that could cause death. The reason for this is to support the misrepresentation of the historic use of the site, which has been misrepresented since at least 2010. Evidence collected by our residents group identifies that the contamination may be as deep as 50 metres in some places and dates back to the late 1930s. Your company is being enabled by Neath Talbot Council to cover up the historic crimes of Neath Talbot Council. For example, by enacting the chemical testing of the spoil heap, a testing which they removed from the process in a planning approval in March 2021. They are trying to backtrack on their decision that the spoil heap is not contaminated. Your company is being manipulated by corrupt public officials to cover up council corruption, as was Enzo Homes before you. I believe that this letter provides your company with serious cause for concern in relation to your future actions with regards this development. I would suggest you request a public investigation into the history of the land in which our company and residents group has the right to be involved. Your slogan, Building Community, should be enacted with regards to this development. You have been informed that poison exists on the site. If you break the land without a full public investigation into the historic process of the planning permission, then you are potentially murdering GLYNNEATH residents. The crime corporate manslaughter and the 1998 Human Rights Act override any planning approvals you have inherited from Enzo based upon the seriousness of the offences and the potential outcomes of your intended actions. You have a duty of care to observe and follow the law. If you wish to challenge any information I have presented, then please do so through legal process. Otherwise, we will assume you accept that if you break ground, you are attempting to murder residents living close to the site. If you believe we have fabricated information or broken the law in any way, please report us to the police. 101 is the telephone number. We would be happy to meet with you to discuss a potential resolution to your problem. Regards, Di Richards, Director, RUGBY RELICS Limited. Chairman, GLYNNEATH Residents Against Contamination Group.
Yes, is it?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So just for sort of our record's sake, I've explained to you that I believe you're breaking the law. I believe you're breaking the law.
You're entitled to believe what you want.
Yeah. I believe you're breaking the law.
Okay.
In that you are breaking the 1974 Control of Pollution Act.
Okay.
Yeah. And you've explained to me that you're doing testing, but you didn't explain that first. You just...
Yeah, I'm under no obligation to explain what I'm doing. Speak to Shaw Brothers.
Yeah. Okay. So, so my feeling is, so can I explain to you that the council have misrepresented...
Can we have a sit down?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So what I will say to that, okay, is that the Human Rights Act, okay, 1998, okay, allow me as a person, okay, the right to life, okay,
yeah,
all right, and you breaking the 1974 Control of Pollution Act, which I believe potentially you were doing, okay.
That's your position.
Yeah. All right, okay. So I'm going to tell you now, okay, that I've studied the history of this site, okay, and the Neath Talbot Council, all right, okay, are misrepresenting, okay, the history of the site. It's been a landfill site since 1937, okay, and when I bought my house, just on the edge of this area, okay, all right, I was there. It states, Neath Talbot Council stated there was no landfill site within 250 metres of my house, okay. So that gate is approximately 150, 200 metres from my house, all right, and so so Neath Talbot Council and are misrepresenting, okay, the history of this site, right, okay. It is a landfill site. It has always been a landfill site, okay. I've done extensive research, okay, and see that house there, okay. the one on the left, okay, now a guy saw in the middle of the night people bringing barrels onto the site, okay, barrels of potential toxic waste, all right, okay, which by the afternoon were gone, all right, okay, they were dropped here, and they weren't sort of they weren't there when he came back. He went to walk somebody's dog, and when he came back sort of mid-morning or whatever, or lunchtime, okay, these barrels were gone, okay, and you've got the relative tracks around the place that show those barrels have most probably been buried on this site, okay, and I've seen backfilling myself, all right, okay, digging holes and backfilling it, all right, okay. Why is he digging holes, dumping stuff and backfilling it, okay? You have to ask yourself that question, and as far as I'm concerned, all right, okay, this land, okay, is a toxic waste dump, all right, it's not, all right, it may be, you can build on it if you want, you know, but what I'm saying is, every time the land is disturbed, okay, Cuddy disturbed it big time in 99, all right, okay, you get clusters of deaths, all right, okay, you've got clusters of cancer deaths over there, okay, in the early 2000s, all right. When Cuddy was dumping stuff big time, okay, in the mid 2010s, okay, between say around 2011, before that, and to about 2016, all right, okay, you've got a cluster of deaths in that row there, okay, that include neurodegenerative disorders, all right, and the council, and this information has been given to the council, all right, okay, we've covered it up, all right, it's not been.
I'm listening.
Yeah, good man, all right, okay, so I believe I'm well within my right, okay, to come onto this site and to film you, okay, and to prevent you from potentially moving land about, okay? Because what happens is every time, okay, there's a what I call it. Every time there's disturbance. A large disturbance, okay, a large disturbance, okay, on the land, all right, okay, then we get a cluster of deaths within the vicinity, all right, okay, so that is my stance, all right, okay, and I am here to protect not just myself, my family, okay, but the families living around here, all right. That house there, you see the one with the solar panels on? Yeah? Yeah? You nodded your head, didn't you? Yeah, good man, excellent. He's not playing with the cameras either, this man.
I'm playing this game if you're going to do that. If you're going to film it, if you want to tell me what you believe I've gone on here, I'd be more than interested to hear your side of it.
All right, okay, all right. So that, the wife of the local councillor, all right, okay, died, okay. Now that councillor, all right, was on the planning committee, all right, okay, for the planning approval, all right, for what the plans that have been put in now, okay. This planning that is not the plan, yeah. So this planning approval, okay, the wife of that councillor, she died there, and I questioned him before that planning committee meeting, okay. I told him, I said, look, there are health problems in the area, okay, and he still, okay, stood on that planning committee, okay, without saying a word about the site and the stuff in it, you know, the stuff that's potentially in it, you know. So yeah, so that's what I am anyway. So yeah, I'd like to thank you for listening.
Yeah, please don't do that.
Why not?
Well, that's just unusual to be filmed or put into someone's film, just, you know.
Why? You do not care about people's lives, or?
Well,
you know, you were just doing your job, right? Okay, so that is what, okay. So let me tell you.
Please don't film me.
Yeah, all right, okay, sorry.
And please don't publish anything containing me, because it's private land.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But it's just, you know, I don't want to be put onto or into anything. I'm not interested in all that.
No, I know you're not interested. Okay. Yeah, you're doing your job. Yeah.
But if you want to turn that off and just explain and have a walk around and explain where you think things are,
I don't know. I don't know where things are.
If you think there's something that we don't
I told you now. There's, okay, as far as I'm concerned, okay, in that spoil heap, okay, all right, there are potentially barrels of toxic waste, all right, okay. So that's what I'm telling you, okay? So whether or not, you know, if you test in the ground, okay, that might be well and good, all right, okay? But as far as I'm concerned, okay, the planning approval, all right, okay, was given, all right, okay, and the safety conditions were put in place, all right, okay? In the following March, okay, those safety conditions were taken away. Alright, okay. Even though the land is tested as contaminated, this area here. Can I just say, right, okay? Your excavator there, okay? Alright, is breaking ground, okay?
Work out. So you're not a consultee, so we don't have to do a letter drop.
No.
If we were carrying out works, that would.
But what right, okay. So as far as that's right, okay. So as far as I'm concerned, okay, all right, okay. I'm up here, okay, in my right, okay, to uphold the 1998 Human Rights Act, okay, which allows me the right to life, okay.
Right, okay.
All right, okay. So I'm going to tell you now, and I'm going to tell you as this is recording. All right, okay.
You're not going to record me because
No.
I will refuse to talk to you no more. I will not have a dialogue with you on that.
Oh, because are you frightened of something?
Pardon?
What are you frightened of?
I'm not frightened of anything.
Well, you sound like you're frightened of something.
I'm not frightened.
You're frightened of the truth. You were frightened of the truth.
What I'm going to do, right? I'm going to open the gate.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you to leave.
Okay.
And after that, if you refuse to leave,
okay,
the next one will be the police.
All right.
Because
okay.
You have committed.
So you're frightened of the truth then? You're frightened of the fact.
I'm not frightened of the truth.
Right. Simon Knoyle. Let me tell you about Simon Knoyle, okay? All right, okay.
I'm not
Simon
interested.
Knoyle is a criminal.
You leave. Right.
Okay. Simon Knoyle is a criminal.
You left me with no alternative to contact the police.
Okay.
To breach your criminal. No.
Yeah. Okay.
What's your name? Sorry.
What's yours?
Police, please.